Thank you very much for coming to the Twig bookshop to listen to some of my writing. April is National Poetry Month, and before we begin, let us all remember H. Palmer Hall, one of San Antonio's most revered poets. I visited him often in his last weeks of his life. He wrote this as he was waiting for his final chemotherapy. And so we come to it, and willing and prepared. We have written elegies in the past for others, have seen plants ripen and die, plowed and dead. This is from elegy number 1 from this book, which was published by Pecan Grove Press posthumously. I'm an Iranian-American physician-writer with an inborn love for poetry. I was born in Ahvaz, a city near Persian Gulf, where oppressive heat and severe drought are commonplace. And yet, as everywhere in Iran, poetry reigns supreme. Around the dinner table, we used to recite Hafiz and Rumi by heart, and I'm thankful that I can return to poetry at this time of my life after retiring from medicine. My first poem for tonight was published originally in The Color of Faith from Pecan Grove Press in 2010, and then by the Poetry Foundation, and later by Ted Kooser, the former U.S. Poet Laureate, included in his anthology, American Life in Poetry, in 2013. The Night of a Snowfall, winter 2007. The snow falls gently in the hill country, covering the meadows and the valleys. The sluggish streaks of smoke climb quietly from the roofs, but fail to reach the lazy clouds. On Alamo Plaza, in the heart of the night, and under the flood of lights, the flakes float like frozen moths and glow like fireflies. They drop on the blades of dormant grass. They alight on the cobblestones and live a while. In silence, they dissolve before dawn. The red limestone walls of the mission glow proudly after the night of the snowfall. I move on, read, that was from the book, The Color of Faith. And then when I took my first ever course in English writing with my muse and Professor Bob Flynn, I was struggling to learn how to write literary narrative. So we were 20 of us at Gemini, and he taught us how to begin doing free writing. Just start from free writing, then take care of it later. Thank you, Bob. Having grown up near the Persian Gulf, I became nostalgic during a visit to Dubai, and I wrote this poem. Persian Gulf. Looking up from sandy shores, all I see under the hazy sky is the gray, undulating sheaf. The sea fades on the misty horizon. The opposite seashore, rocky and ancient, lies behind a mass of agitated waters. The distant land, an aged lion, is resting, tired and blind. It lies on its side, panting. Like an orange kite with broken string, the sun is gliding, fading, deserting the Persian shore. There, darkness prevails in the harbor. The starless night is without moon. The low, feeble waves die near my feet. The water is warm and murky. It brings no news and no words of freedom and love from the Persian shore. My next reading comes from the short story, The Blue Window, from The Garden of Milk and Wine, published by Word Design Studio. I turned off the alarm clock before I was ready and before I was quite awake. It was close to 5 when I left the dark house to buy fresh bread for breakfast from the nearby baker. I walked in the street of the neighborhood where I had lived for the last 16 years, since I was born. That morning, everything looked different, somehow more colorful, strikingly strange, and yet profoundly memorable. I knew this would be the last time I walked to the bakery. I passed my neighbor's house, the place where Shirin lived, and I felt my heart begin to race. The small window of her room was open, their front door was dark blue, and in that twilight moment it had the hue of the deep ocean at dawn. I imagined her waiting behind the door and paused, hoping she would suddenly burst out and join me, walk with me to buy fresh bread in the early morning hours. Thank you. Well, now we get to my new book, Between A and Z. Which came out last month from Wings Press. Thank you, Bryce Milligan. It is truly an honor to be one of Wings Press authors. I am also grateful to my editors, Carol Raposa and my beloved wife, Brigitta Said. I'm grateful for the review you wrote for Voces de la Luna.
It was my pleasure.
55%. Most Texans believe we were created in historical times. San Antonio Express News. On a tumultuous day, Adam landed softly on a patch of foggy land, and in the wee hours of the next morning, Eve descended abruptly with a flimsy parachute. The first couple attended the March of Creatures using the Oxford English Dictionary, the name fauna and flora. They harvested the golden fields of wheat, captured and slaughtered a young sheep, and grilled its meat. They filled their jugs from a cool spring, opened the fridge, and added ice to their drinks. Drove a new Silverado to the nearby shore, wearing masks and fins. They snorkeled and filmed the colorful fish. Anointed with sunscreen, they bathed in white sand. Listening to samba, they danced, hugged, and kissed. They made love and reproduced. In 930 long years, they created a flock of 10,000 offspring. Soon they joined the progeny of Homo sapiens from East Africa, Indo-Europeans, sea wanderers, the native of remote continents, and the builders of ziggurats, ships, spacecrafts, and pyramids. They traded packages of virulent germs, religions, contrasting myths, and arms. Their houses filled with the stuff. The planet with their mounting garbage, scrap metal, the air with pollutant, toxic gases, smog. When man arrived, he brought thousands of words, knew how to write, read, play piano, sing arias, love songs, recite poetry he had composed, and he resided in a mansion with heated pool, wines galore in the cellar, in a mansion with heated pool, wines galore in the cellar. The next poem is the title poem of the new book. It is inspired by love, which can be found in poetry and in our hearts. Between A and Z. It is really crazy. We get to live, then we have to die, said Radner. A bittersweet life, laughter and then tears. The sunrise, high noon, and then the twilight. Yet death does not close the chapter. Words, music, sound, and light wander around, traverse the universe. In a distant corner of the cosmos, a behemoth chip stores all the names, faces, voices, and the genes, the samples from every creature. Bees, birds, fish, humans, and dinosaurs. The clue to the riddle of immortality is not found in sacred vaults or catacombs. It is in our heart. It lies between A and Z. Say it. Life endures, persists, and survives because of L, O, V, and E. Thank you very much. This poem is inspired by a good friend of mine who I call him my twin brother, Jim Brandon. Before 5. It is 3 minutes before 5. The image flashes on the walls. Her face glows on the chambers of your heart. You open your eyes and feel the life air, see the gray window. The day takes you to the noisy highway. The third cup spills in the car. The city, the fallen leaves, the garrulous calls, and the texts. The night rescues you from the routine world. Tonight, the moon is behind the window. It moves over the scattered clouds. You fall into an oblivious realm. You hear a whisper. The image floats in the room, crosses the open window, and flies out. The moon is hidden behind a dark cloud. The breeze brings air and the noise from the highway. The radio broadcasts yesterday's news, chaos, and war. It is 3 minutes after 5. I like to read this light poem. Musical is a modified villanelle, which the last sentence rhymes and repeats itself. My wife, Brigitta, has been by my side for decades, and this is how we met in this poem. In the piano bar, in the dim light, she was radiant and bright, sitting among her friends, tasting Pinot Noir. Lonely and despondent, I was mending my thoughts, munching black olives, listening to a song. As strangers in the night, we exchanged glances. I noticed her face, her fleeting gaze, saw a gentle demeanor, a pleasing smile. It was so inviting. It triggered a surge in my fluttering heart, tempted my soul. As strangers in the night, we exchanged glances. I was lonely dove, sipping single malt. So splendid it was when I met her eyes. It energized my core, brought me hope. I took my chances, walked to her side. As strangers in the night, we exchanged glances. She beamed while I pondered my options. Lumbering like Bacchus, I offered my hand. Responding to my call, she accepted my bed, and I clasped her arm. She soared like a swan. As strangers in the night, we exchanged glances. She landed in my arm, and we danced to the song, lovers at first sight. Ever since that night, for better or worse, we have lived together. Under that dim light, one fateful encounter, as strangers in the night, we exchanged glances. Well, thank you very much for your patience. I would like to conclude my presentation with this quotation from Rumi regarding longing and love. There is a candle in your heart, ready to be kindled. There is a void in your soul, ready to be filled. You feel it, don't you? Rumi, the illuminated Rumi, translated by Barker. Thank you very much for listening to me. Thank you. I'm very honored by your presence, and thank you very much for coming.
The other one. Show the other one.
Oh, okay.